What is happening, baby? Welcome back to the Huddle Chat Sports Network's very own fantasy football huddle presented by Danklyfe brand and yours truly, Dallas Clark. Today, we're discussing the players that you should be targeting in Week 13 as we approach Thanksgiving week. We've got three Thursday games, a Friday night game, and no teams on a bye week, but that doesn't mean that we're lacking in waiver wire targets this week. We're in the midst of our playoff push, so we need all the upside we can get, and I'm here to give you all the information you can handle today. Now, without further ado, make sure you smash that like button and hit that subscriptions bar as well as that notifications bell if you have not yet. Also, make sure you check us out over on Spotify if you have not given us a follow on Spotify yet for more convenient audio-only versions of the podcast if you need a more convenient version to check us out. Now, without further ado, let's fill up our cups, roll something up, and get right into the Week 13 waiver wire. Now, starting the Week 13 waiver wire, of course, we got to discuss some injuries. There were a lot of big injuries. We've kind of been unscathed in these last few weeks, but this week hit us hard, starting with David Montgomery, took a shoulder injury, and he plays on Thursday Night Football, so it's not very likely that David Montgomery in a short turnaround is able to contribute, and you're looking at Jahmyr Gibbs having a huge game this week. Also, Josh Downs from the Indianapolis Colts took a scary-looking shoulder injury, but he did return, so make sure to monitor his status if you're looking at him in your flex. Also, not very fantasy viable unless you're in a very deep league. Gardner Minshew from the Las Vegas Raiders went out with a broken collarbone. He's going to be done for the rest of the season, if not more than that. The Raiders looked just about as good as you would have expected after that happened. You're also looking at a lot of concussions this week. Cedric Tillman from the Browns on Thursday Night Football, fortunately, does not play until Monday, so may have time enough to make that to clear that concussion protocol. You're also looking at Romeo Doubs from the Green Bay Packers taking a concussion as well. And then you're looking at the Carolina Panthers' JT Sanders after making a couple of really spectacular catches, getting carted off the field and having to go to the hospital after taking a scary fall and landing on his head. He did get cleared and everything seems to be okay, but the likelihood of him playing this week is not very high. You're also looking at the Washington Commanders losing both running backs this week. Brian Robinson Jr. went out with a bad-looking ankle injury, came back for a couple of plays, and then went out for the rest of the game not to return. And then Austin Eckler went out with a concussion as well, which will lead us to our very first waiver wire pickup, which will be Jeremy McNichols, rostered in 1% of leagues, and he's playing the Tennessee Titans this week. You're looking at Washington wanting to establish the run game very early on and very often in their matchups. You're looking at Jeremy McNichols being very good when he is presented with the opportunity. So far this season, he's averaging almost 5 yards per carry. This is sort of a revenge game for him as he started his career in Tennessee and then landed in Washington after bouncing around a little bit. He also is playing that Tennessee Titans defense, which isn't one of the worst in the league, but they are middle of the road as far as a run defense goes and likes to kind of let the run go to keep everything in front of them. You're also looking at Jeremy McNichols having a lot of touchdown upside. Things are looking up for him, and you know there's not very many running backs that you can pick up and have the ability to start right here, right now. Jeremy McNichols is that kind of guy. I'm also going to be talking about Amir Abdullah, who I talked about last week. He's not going to give you a ton of rushing production. However, you do have to have the value in him. You're looking at him being the main running back in this Las Vegas Raiders offense, especially if Zamir White and Alexander Mattison are going to be missing any more time. You're looking at him being involved in the passing game and scoring that touchdown, which saved a lot of Amir Abdullah owners this week, and I'm glad I told you to start him this week on the startums and sit-ems. Moving on into the wide receiver position, starting to talk about one of the old men. We're talking about Adam Thielen. It's more than a feeling with Adam Thielen. He's playing Tampa Bay, and he's rostered in 28% of leagues. He was back and healthy in Week 12, and we talked about that Bryce Young, Adam Thielen connection a couple of weeks ago and what it looked like last season, and we're excited to have it back. This week, he only had 4 targets for 3 receptions and had 57 yards. You're looking at him being a PPR asset first and foremost. His target share will improve, and he's going to turn into Bryce Young's safety blanket as he was last year. You're also looking at his matchup this week against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense. They're not the greatest defense, and Adam Thielen should have the opportunity to score a lot because the Carolina Panthers will be down and needing to throw a lot in this game. Also, moving on with the wide receiver position, we're talking about Devon Vele from the Denver Broncos, owned in 2% of leagues. In back-to-back weeks, he's stepped up. This week, he had 6 catches for 80 yards. You're looking at Sean Payton letting Bo Nix really do a lot more, and he's doing it in a very smart way because you're looking at the Denver Broncos just virtually not being able to run the ball very well or even at all at the current moment. So they're letting Bo Nix do what he's been doing, and they're believing in Bo Nix, and I'm going to continue to believe in Devon Vele. He does not have the highest ceiling. This is still Cortland Sutton's game, and there are a lot of mid-range targets to feed around that Denver Broncos offense, but Devon Vele does have a fairly safe floor, being the number 2 option in this offense. Moving on, talking about a player that we talked about last week, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, owned in 16% of leagues. He is coming off the bye week, did not play last week, but before the bye week had 109 yards and 2 touchdowns, followed by 87 yards and 2 touchdowns. It's worth taking a chance on him. He's playing the Los Angeles Rams, who allowed the 4th highest yards per target at the current moment, and that's exactly where MVS is going to eat and score all of his points, is in his high yards per target number right now. So Marquez Valdes-Scantling, definitely worth an addition. Then we're going to talk about a couple tight ends here for you. Talking about first Noah Gray from the Kansas City Chiefs. This seems like that perfect time that Noah Gray always picks to have 3 and 4 decent weeks in this season. In the last 2 weeks, he's outscored Travis Kelce, even though he's supposed to be the backup. Reminds me of Isaiah Likely and Marcus Andrews in Baltimore. You're looking at him taking 66 yards and 2 touchdowns this week. Noah Gray, let's face it, is going to be touchdown or bust. He does have a good matchup against the number 2 rated against tight ends defense in that Las Vegas Raiders defense. So you're looking at him having another potential to get in the end zone, find some pay dirt, and I think he's definitely worth a good option. And then continuing to talk about another player I talked about last week in Taysom Hill. He may still be available coming off the bye week. He's available in almost half of leagues, which is why he just barely made the episode. He's just as good as any other streaming option you can have at tight end right now, and his upside and his ceiling is unmatched. You're looking at him being extremely high risk, high reward, because you have no idea how he is going to be used, but you're looking at Taysom Hill having the upside and can be a match-winning player if you pick him on the right week. As far as quarterbacks go, it's really hard to pick quarterbacks this week. You shouldn't really need to find the waiver wire quarterbacks because there is nobody on bye. However, you're looking at the quarterbacks that are typically on the waiver wire right now. I'm not ready to buy into Bryce Young. You're looking at Caleb Williams having a bad matchup. It leads me to stay with the old man, Matt Stafford. He's playing the New Orleans Saints defense in Week 13. You're looking at Jameis Winston just last week or the last time they played, putting up almost 400 yards and 2 touchdowns against this defense. Things look up for Matt Stafford. He has better wide receivers than Jameis Winston does, a better offense than Jameis Winston did when they played against the New Orleans Saints. I think Matt Stafford should be able to put up a very similar game to what Jameis Winston did in this matchup. Now, ending things off with a couple of players that I'm okay with you dropping at this point in the season, going with Alexander Mattison first and foremost. He has not really been good, and we don't know when he's going to come back. He's averaging 3.3 yards per carry, and he's averaging 32 yards per game. Things just really have not been great, and I want to try to avoid that Raiders offense if I can, unless I'm in desperation. Also, another waiver wire pickup that we talked about a lot earlier in the season, Ricky Pearsall, with Brock Purdy being hurt, with the San Francisco 49ers kind of struggling and getting into playoff form. There's just not enough to go around in this offense. As we typically say when it comes to the San Francisco 49ers, you're looking at George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey going back to being their normal good players. You're looking at Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk. You're looking at the San Francisco 49ers offense. I don't know, not Brandon Ayuk. You're looking at the San Francisco 49ers offense really just being lacking in target ability right now, and Ricky Pearsall is going to be one of the worst benefactors of it. Another and last player we're going to be talking about is going to be Tyler Lockett. I just had my fiance drop him this week. There's not much value in him. He's the 3rd wide receiver in a struggling offense, and he has super low upside. At this point, we're not chasing a floor. We want to find somebody that can help us win these matchups, whether getting into the playoffs or during our playoff run, and Tyler Lockett just does not fit that at the current moment. That's going to do it for today's episode. Make sure if you haven't yet and you watched the whole video, you hit that like button and that subscriptions bar, as well as that notifications bell. Other than that, make sure you keep your chin up and your attitude down, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace out.